Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial. I'm Eve here. I want to show you something kind of nice that I got to experiment with lately. I have this page in my website and I would like to have the sub menu here and have different items of this menu show different things on this website. So if I click on state 1, something happens, this other state or other item, and this third state. Now, I'm saying state because the way that we're going to do this is by using a multi-state box, which is going to change the states. Now, how do we connect between this menu and the multi-state box? We are going to use what we call query params. If you look here at the URL, you see there is a question mark. So everything on the left is the URL path, and on the right of this question mark, we can add key and value pairs. Like here, the key is state, and the value is state 3, and connect it so that each time we press on a different item, it changes the URL. So it's going to change the state here. Like now, the key is state and the value is state 1. We press here, it's going to change to state 2 and state 3. So then how would this connect to our multi-state box to change the state? We're going to look at it together. So let's start building. All right, so I'm going to start by adding here a menu. Very simple, very easy. And let's also add the multi-state box. Now to do that, we need to make sure that our dev mode is turned on. So I'm going to turn on dev mode because we will be using a little bit of code. Now seriously, I promise you, it's the easiest code ever. So don't freak out. I know that for some code is like a little bit scary. Great. So now that we have the dev mode on, we can go here to our add panel, and then in layout tools, we're going to have a multi-state boxes. So let's drag this here. Nice. And let's, make it a little bit bigger. Okay. Perfect. All right. So now, just for simple layout purposes, I just want to make a connection, a layout connection between the menu and the multi-state box. So I'm going to press Shift and press the menu and stack them together. Now they're kind of like in one container, a unified container of both of them, which is called a stack. Great. Okay, so let's add our menu items. Let's do it. So right now we have home. Let's add a new item, and it's going to be a link. Okay, now we would like to set the web address of this and add the query parameters, the data, the key value pairs that are optional, and we can add them. And what's going to happen is that we're going to be able to take the key value pairs into the code and use that to change the state in the multi-state box. Okay, so it could be a little bit confusing, so let me show you. Okay, let's first publish our website and see our address. Okay, let's call it multi-state box. Okay, save and continue. All right, and let's view it. So this is our address. This is the URL path for our website. So let's copy that. And in the Manage menu, let's add a new item, a link. And let's paste it here. Now, we want to add key value pairs that we're going to use. So the first rule is we put a question mark, and now we can set our key value pairs. So our key is going to be the state, right? And then we're going to set the value to be state 1. And it's going to open in the current window, not in a new window. And we press done, and we're going to call it state 1. Great. Let's add another item. A link. And we're going to use the same base URL. And then add the query parameters. So this is going to be the state equals to state 2. Okay, open in the current window. We're going to call this state 2. And one last time, we're going to do another one. Paste in our website address and question mark state equals state 3. Open in the current window and done. Okay, and we're going to call it state 3. Perfect. Okay, so the home I don't need here, so I'm going to remove from the menu. Okay, great. So now let's see what happens when we press each one of those states. We set it a URL. Okay, let's publish. But before we see it, do you see here the duplication? We need to make sure that both these menus are not the same menu. So let's manage this menu and manage site menus and add a new menu. So this is going to be like a different menu, new menu 2. So then each menu is different. Okay, now let's publish. And let's view it. I'll refresh. Okay, so first of all, we see that they're all kind of in active mode because they all point to the same page. So we're going to take care of that. But I just want to show you when I press state 1, notice how the URL here now changes with the query string that we've added, state 2 and state 3. So this is the good behavior that we want. Now, let's just change this so that it's not always clicked like that. We'll go to the design here in the inspector panel, and on clicked, we're just going to set this background to white and set the text to black. Okay, great. Let's publish. All right, so now let's design our different state boxes, okay? Let's select here in the breadcrumbs multi-state boxes and click on manage states. Okay, so first we need to name them the same name, okay, that we used for our key value pairs, because what is again going to happen? We'll click on the menu item, it's going to change the URL, and then these two key value pairs, state equals state 1, state 2, or state 3, are the names that we need in order for us to then change the state in the code. So these have to have the same name as what we put in the key value pairs. So in box 1, we're going to edit this ID and call it state 1, just as the value that we set in the params. This one's going to be state 2. And let's add another state, and that's going to be state 3. And let's just arrange them in the correct order. Great. Now let's design the different states. So this is state 1, right? This one, state 1, great. Let's make it 0 opacity just so that we don't see it. And then in general, the multi-state box, we don't want to have any background color to it. Okay, and now let's choose an SVG. We can go here to decorative. We have all kinds of SVGs and shapes. So we can choose all vector art. And I would like something like a wave that's going to reveal itself. All right, let's take this for our example and add it to the page. Let's play around with it a little bit to set it so that it looks nicer. Okay, something like this. Here we can kind of position it to the center. Let's make it just a little bit larger. Position it in the middle and set it also in the middle. And then let's add an animation. So I'm going to add here I have all kinds of pre-made animations, and I would like to use the reveal and customize it just a little bit. I can control here the duration, the delay. I want to take just a bit more time. I can play here the animation. Awesome. Great. So we have here our first state. So now let's go to the second state and design it. All right. Let's add an SVG. And the second state is going to be like a bird flying in, right? So let's see, which one did I choose earlier? Maybe we can choose a different one. This one. Or this one, flying bird. Okay, great. I'm just going to resize it a little bit and add it here. And then add my animation. And I'd like for it to fly in, of course. But let's customize it and have it fly from the top left. Let's see it. Whoo, nice. Okay, great. So we have this. And now let's set the third state and design it. So this one's going to be like a soccer ball. So let's say here soccer. Let's use this. Resize it. General, I just want to make sure that this is in the middle of my section. So I'm using here the alignment tools. Okay, let's animate it. I would like that to kind of turn in. Great. Okay, so now we have the three different states. So how do we change them? Let's open our code and start working on the code. Okay, this is the dev mode, and this is the IDE where we can put in code. I'm just going to erase this here, the comments. So we need two functions, okay? The first function is going to remove all the query params and basically say that, you know, because we don't want to show anything, okay? We don't want to have any state here. So we need something to clear any query string that exists before we click on anything here. So we're going to set a function and set it outside of the onReady function and call it function remove query params. Okay, so in order for us to remove them, we also want to know what to display here. I'm just going to create another state, which is going to be a blank state, and that's how we're going to start looking at the browser. And this state is going to be called, oh, got here an extra one. It's going to be called blank, and it's not going to have anything inside it. So I'm going to just remove the background. Okay. All right. So now the first thing that I want to do is to remove the query params, and I can use the Wix location API to basically play and have control over the URL and do all kinds of manipulations. So let's import the Wix location library. Great. Now, Wix location has a property called query params, and we can either add or remove. So we want to start by removing, and the syntax is that we use brackets, and inside we put the state, that the key name that we want to remove, which for us is state, right? Because we set state equals to state 1, state 2, or state 3. Great. Now the second thing we want to do is to show in the multi-state box our blank state. So how we're going to do this, let's press the multi-state box. Here we can grab the ID, and we're going to do $W, multi-state box, and we have a function here called change state, and we're going to change the state to the blank state. Great, so now let's call this function in onReady and publish, and let's see if it behaves the way that we want it to behave. Okay, I'm going to refresh. Okay, so first of all, we see that the page is loading. We don't see anything. The multi-state box is in blank state, and we don't have any query params here. Perfect. So this is what we wanted. Now, let's create another function, and this is going to be the onState change. So let's build it now and create this function. Function onState change. Or you know what? I think onChange state is better. Change state. Okay, and now what's going to happen here? We have to use a function that listens to changes in the URL, because whenever the URL changes, then we need to change the multi-state box, the state in the multi-state box. So we have a function in the Wix location API that listens to these URL changes. So it looks like this: Wix location dot onChange. Okay. Now when it changes, we want to then trigger another function. So here, the function accepts a callback, which is an anonymous function. And now we write here our code of what happens when we receive this event. So when we receive this event, we want to first grab the state, right? So that then we can change it. So let's set a variable, let state, and use the Wix location API to grab the query params. Let's see what it looks like. Wix location dot query. Okay. And let's see what it looks like. All right. So let's put console log state or query params, and then call the variable. Great, so let's publish and see what happens. So in order to open the developer tools and see the console log that we set, we're going to press inspect, and here go to console. All right, so now I'm refreshing, and when I press state 1, okay, I get here query params. I get here an object, right, with a key value pair, state, which is our key, and state 1, which is our value. Great, but what I really need is the value, because that's the name of the state in the state box, of the ID of the state in the multi-state box that I want to then feed it to the multi-state box and change here the state. So what am I going to do? I just need to add, right, to the Wix location dot query dot state, which is the key of my object. That's going to give me the value. Now let's see what it looks like. Okay, I'm refreshing. And now I press. So query params state 1, state 2, state 3. Okay, perfect. This is exactly what I wanted. So now let's actually change the state to this variable. Okay, so then we have our dollar multi-state box dot change state, and we're going to change it to the state that we receive in the query params. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to refresh, and we get this error. So just remember this error. We're going to talk about it. Okay, I press state 1, and we get the state. State 2, nice, and state 3. Awesome. Very, very nice. Okay, so of course there's some, design adjustments that we can make and to make it look better, because this menu here is jumping up and down. But this is working. Now look at this error. The change state parameter that is passed to the change state method cannot be set to the value undefined. So when we refresh the page, the first value that we get here is undefined because we have no parameters, because we cleared them. So let's put a condition that only if we have a state, then we change it. All right, so here let's do a condition to say if state. So if we don't get undefined, if state, which is truthy, exists, then we do this. Okay, great. Let's just format it to look nicely. I can press the right click and format the code. Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to publish this and now see if it works. All right, I'm refreshing. I don't see any error here in the console. Very cool. Now let's just solve here the jumping. It happens on state 2, right? Because the height is different. So in state 1, state 2, let's publish and see it now. State 1, state 2, state 3. Very, very cool. Okay, great. Let's do some design adjustments just to make it look a little bit nicer. We can set here to the menu the border. Give it a little bit of a color. Set it to like 50 opacity. All right, and maybe curve the corners up, the menu corners, 25 pixels, and then we could also use separators. %50 opacity, nice. And then for the multi-state box, we can also give it a border so that it's a bit nicer. Okay. Cool. All right, let's see it in action. Nice. All right. The only thing that is missing, and I would really appreciate if you can try it out if you have a solution to it, is so that when I click on a state, the color, the active, the focus stays. Because see right now, if I hover out, it kind of changes and it doesn't stay. So if you have a solution to that, I'd love to hear it. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and learned something. And perhaps this will give you some more ideas of things that you can do. And see you next time.